whoosh.
That helped. Actually, it didn't. It kind of helped.
Sliding into the vlog. Web show. Whatever this is.
Sliding in. Like to the DMs.
Nope. Not like to the DMs.
I never slid into anybody's DMs. I don't think.
I just go in there like a bull in a china shop.
Of course, I have sent people DMs that I don't actually know, but I wasn't trying to I wasn't trying to hit nobody up.
People try to slide into my DMs, and I don't know if it's a scam or what.
Denied.
Because it always seems like a big scam.
People, sometimes you get messages on there, like requests or whatever, that are a little bit.
They only
creepy.
have like 2 pictures.
No. It's like people that request to be your friend on Facebook,
Yeah.
and that are, like, they don't even live anywhere near, like, you have no mutual friends. I'm
Yeah.
like, we don't have no mutual friends? Denied.
Denied.
Why you want to be my friend?
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
trust you.
What, because you like people and you're nice?
No.
No.
I don't trust you, just like I don't trust a lot of writers.
Yes.
I was trying to ease into the subject.
I blew it. Well, this is our McWorld.
Oh yeah, welcome to our McWorld.
I'm Courtney.
Mallory.
Today we are
Whining.
and whining. This is Southern Sangria.
Ooh.
It is from Georgia Winery, and it is described as lush berries combined with succulent grapes, making for a lively and tasty version of a deliciously fruity sangria. Uncork happiness in every glass and smile. It's 50.
We need that because we're about to be complaining.
Yeah, we do. So, don't take the complaining as evidence that the wine didn't work. But it's 50% grape and 50% berry wine.
Ooh.
Here we go.
You know what I just realized? It looks bizarre in the background now because there's only one thing hanging up there.
Oh, yeah. There's a remodel, a redesign of the world going on down here.
Yeah, but see, I hung a clock over here, and then I hung the other photo over here, and both of the hooks broke. So one of my picture frames, like this one, is broken, and the clock is sitting over there because it also fell. I'm like, what the heck? The thing that was hanging there has been there forever and didn't fall. Anyway, sorry. So deal with the weird background, I guess. I don't know.
You know, they probably wouldn't have even noticed it unless you said something. You know what I appreciate? Here's what you don't think about when you're doing stuff. The little things, right? Like this cork says Georgia Winery, has the address, the phone number, and the website on it so that you can go order wines from the website. See, and we save corks. So this is good because somebody might see it and think, oh snap. I mean, probably nobody's going to see it, but they might see it.
Yeah.
It's marketing.
I can order from there.
Yeah. So, I'm going to pour this wine up.
Pour it in. And I'll tell folks what we're whining about, although they probably know because it's probably in the description.
Probably.
Or the title of the video. But today we are going to be whining about terrible endings. And then presenting the question of, does a bad ending ruin a series?
Yes.
So first I guess with each thing we talk about, we'll say, does it ruin the whole show for us? Or can we still appreciate the show even though the ending was terrible?
Yeah.
It's not just shows either. We're going to talk about...
There'll be a few movies and books and things, but mostly it's going to be TV shows.
Yeah, because really, TV show, like a series of things, either a book series or a TV series, or most of the time what seems to have the worst endings. I mean, some movies have really terrible endings too, but because you've gotten invested for a period of time.
Yeah.
So when it ends and it's bad, you're like, why'd I just waste all my life on this?
Yes. Okay.
Cheers.
Cheers. That is good.
Yes.
Very fruity. It smells muscadine-y.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what was the main? Was it to say what the main fruit was?
No. 50% berries, 50% grapes.
You can really taste the berry. I'm trying to like identify. I can taste the grape too.
Yeah.
Really taste the grape, but trying to like identify the berry.
Well, the bottle has raspberries, blueberries, and blackberries on it.
Yeah, maybe it's like the blackberry raspberry combo or something.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's really good.
Yeah.
So good for
I think they used
whining.
muscadine grapes. It tastes muscadine-y to me, which is not a bad thing. I like muscadines. Okay, so should we start with your shirt?
Yes. In case you can't see my shirt, let me just show you. It's backwards, but
It says, "I'm no lady." And we also have this pillow.
it's also legit because as a good large portion of the fans of Game of Thrones will all agree, the ending was not great.
No.
There
Now-
were various levels of
Yeah.
like anger or disappointment after the show was over, and we're not like way up there
No.
with everything, but overall the final season was a letdown.
Yeah. We're more disappointed, I guess, than angry. And there's really just a couple of main pain points I think we have with it. We weren't as, like she said, we weren't crying around the post about it like everybody else seemed to be and just blasting it that they ruined the whole thing. I don't think that's the case.
No, in this instance it definitely didn't ruin the show.
No.
Like, it didn't taint the rest of the show for me.
No, we just think it could have been better.
Yeah, and I actually really liked the battle episode.
Yeah.
A lot of people, and my only issue with it, which I guess, was that it was dark, which is my issue with a lot of shows.
Yeah.
When it's too dark, you can't see what's happening. This happens on The Walking Dead all the time.
Yeah.
So, but I know some of it, like at the beginning especially,
Mhm.
was so you couldn't see stuff coming.
Right.
But I actually really enjoyed the episode, and I mean, I guess I was kind of on the train of a little bit disappointed, or I guess that it after the whole battle with them, because it seemed like the show was really leading up to this battle with the Night King, that once that was done, from there on out, like the next episode like had good stuff and not good stuff, I guess.
But the main pain point.
After that episode, yeah, it kind of, the rest of it was just kind of like,
See,
eh.
we're kind of the mindset that well, first of all, the idea that they shortened the final season doesn't make any sense to
No.
us. And then why? I get that Game of Thrones is quite the production, and if you have not watched the little documentary they made about what all it takes to make Game of Thrones, you should.
Yeah.
Because it's a crying shame, too, that all these people just blatantly hate on the show with no regard for all of the people that put their blood, sweat, and tears into working on this show.
Yeah, it took a lot.
Yeah.
That was really interesting.
Yeah, and that was
Thing.
really neat. And, it does give you more of an appreciation of the show for sure, but still, counterpoint, we waited 2 years or more, or people did, not really us, but for,
Yeah.
For this finale. So then to have any episodes that were less than spectacular is going to be a letdown, and that's really not fair to the show in some respects, but really knowing that HBO was on board with more episodes
Yeah.
and with more seasons, it just seems so strange that they did it the way that they did it instead of really, why didn't they do this big battle up till dealing with the Night King, and then there should have subsequently been a battle for Westeros,
Yeah.
or vice versa, but it's kind of like they just, first of all, they killed the Night King super quick, wasn't even that hard, and then
Yeah.
the battle for Westeros didn't exist.
Yeah, before the final season, we were kind of joking around, talking about, oh, what do we think is going to happen? And I said, oh, Daenerys will probably burn them all.
Yeah.
I was joking. I honestly, 100% never thought that was going to happen.
But,
And I mean, honestly, my problem wasn't with her. I didn't really have a problem with her turning out to kind of be a, you know,
yeah,
tyrant a little bit. And because she was never, I mean, they could have done a little better job, I guess, but she was never really the most benevolent person. I mean, she freed these people, but then she also murdered all these other people.
yeah,
And I mean, they might have deserved it, but it was never, like, John always felt like John was always trying to make peace.
yeah,
And she was never really like that, and she did do crazy stuff, like, before the final season. So I didn't really have a problem with that happening, with her turning. The way everything happened was a little bit strange. But that wasn't really one of my big issues with it.
no, and a large part of that is because, like she said, we were never of the mindset that Daenerys was this benevolent liberator of people.
Yeah.
She was good. She certainly did a ton of good stuff, and for the most part, whatever, but she was always single-minded focus on getting the throne,
Mm-hmm.
and any threat to that was done away with. And like you said, I mean, if people disagreed with her, she just burned them. Like that happened from all the whole time.
Yeah.
And so then, especially when John became a threat to her claim to the throne, even though he wasn't, because he didn't give a rat's butt about the throne.
No, he did not want to be on the throne.
You know, she just, yeah. It didn't take us that much by surprise necessarily, and we weren't nearly as mad about that as we were about other things.
No. Really, honestly, the thing we were the most pissed about was Jamie Lannister.
Yes.
Because I felt like a lot of other people, he was one of those characters that went through so much change over the series, and when he left to come and help them after Cersei was like, we'll help you, and then was like, no. And then for him to like basically go kind of crawling back to her at the end and just, I mean, first of all, this was also another annoying thing, was the way that they, like, I kind of figured they were both going to die.
Mm-hmm.
And that, I mean, I knew that was coming. But the way that they died was so terrible.
Yeah.
And especially her, she was such, like, she was really one of the main villains the whole show.
Mm-hmm.
In the final season, she was barely in it.
Yeah.
At all. And then they're just gonna get killed by falling rocks.
Yeah.
And he's just gonna go back to her and be like, I've always loved you and I wanna die with you. Like, that was so freaking dumb.
Yeah. I mean, I guess you could always, this is counterintuitive to everything we believe in real life. In real life, we believe people don't normally change significantly. Because fact of the matter is, unfortunately, most people don't change significantly. So why should Jamie? But in TV, that's not how it works. People have arcs of redemption. And I guess technically an arc has to go up and then come back down. But most people, Jamie sucked at first. He was such a crap, trash, garbage fire person.
Mm-hmm.
Then he becomes a good person. He obviously should have ended up with Brienne.
Yes.
And then they get together, which is great.
That was shocking.
That was shocking. but also we were super duper happy. Yeah.
But then when he left,
yeah.
and I thought surely he's not going, like he's going to try to go, like here's what I wanted to happen was for him to try to go back and help them stop her.
Yeah.
So at the end, he had finally let go of her, even if it still hurt him,
Right.
When he left her at the end of the previous season and went off, I thought he's finally free. And then when he decided to stay temporarily in the final season, I was like, oh good. And then when he went off anyway, and then it was just like to go run back up her butt before they died.
Yeah. It was just terrible. That was like the worst thing because really, and it's kind of like several things in the last season to where it doesn't exactly make sense as to why they would do that. And I guess, that it was kind of like, well, not everybody gets their happy ending and whatever, but why
Like nobody did.
would he finally realize after all this time what a terrible, terrible person Cersei is? Because he's known it. But he never accepted it until she was finally like, okay, I'll do this. And that seemed to be the last straw.
Yeah.
So then why wasn't it? Like, why was it the last straw? And then, nope, it's all good. I'm going to come back to you.
Yeah. Then he's just going to run on back like you just can't even. It's like, well, you think you can let go and move on with stuff, but you really can't.
Yeah. And you've worked this hard. You've worked the whole show. You've come so far from being such a terrible person to being a good person.
And now you're like a character a lot of people actually like you.
Yeah.
And are rooting for you.
Yeah.
And then this happens.
Yeah.
So like that was the worst part by far to me.
Sure. Yeah.
Was how his arc ended and even how Cersei's arc ended because I felt like she deserved a better ending than she got.
Yeah.
For being that she was the one that you were supposed to hate.
Right.
But I feel like as that villain who's been the constant, she deserved better.
Yeah, see,
a better ending.
We thought that either Jaime would kill her himself or Arya would kill her wearing Jaime's face.
Yeah, see, Arya never did put on any more faces, which was also kind of disappointing.
Right?
In that season.
I mean, I know that she had done the whole killing somebody wearing somebody else's face thing when she killed Walter Frey. But still, that people would, if Jaime had gone back and somehow gotten killed, it's still really unclear to me whether you can wear someone else's face if they're still alive. Like, do you literally have to have their face?
I don't know. It's such a weird. Sometimes I think they have to be dead, but sometimes I'm not sure.
So we don't know about that part. But if Jaime had headed back to King's Landing
and got killed,
and gotten killed or not, depending on whether or not you'd be dead to have the face, don't know. Either way, somehow Arya gets Jaime's face. See, then
goes in and being like, "Oh, I'm here for you," and then kind of like when Jon killed Daenerys. I feel like that would have been a better ending for Jaime and Cersei than Jon and Daenerys.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not super bummed that he killed her because she was, at that point she was crazy. But I just think it would have been better if it had happened to these other two than it happened to them because. And I never really believed in Jon and Daenerys' love story. No. Like a lot of people, I've been waiting for them to get together, and I know we hadn't, we watched the show all back to back, but I never really.
What about them suggested that they were going to get together?
Yeah, and I just didn't really care about them. I mean, I didn't care one way or another, but
no.
I was never invested in them as a couple. I was invested in them as individuals and their stories.
Yeah. But
not as a thing, so to make it seem like she's being killed by the love of her life was kind of like...
No, Team Dario Naharis. It's another day.
Right?
No, but, I mean, there could have been so many ways that they could have resolved the Jaime storyline and, not the way they did it.
Yeah. And I don't know. I mean, Bran being the king was it was fine. I
wasn't as mad about it as other people.
No, I am glad that Tyrion ended up Hand and Brienne, and that they were.
Yeah.
I thought they all had it that good. They all ended up where they kind of should have.
Yeah.
And I didn't really care that Bran. I mean, it was kind of weird and random.
Yeah, I mean, really, Sansa should have probably been the queen because, see, Sansa storyline went correctly.
Yeah, like she got better.
She was trash, and then
better.
she got major league scummed by Littlefinger, and then she grew from that. She survived that. Girl, get it.
Yeah.
Which, I guess really, it kind of depends on, I guess really she was queen, just queen of the north, because then they kind of seceded from the union. But
I was really hoping, I will say one thing about her and Tyrion was I was really hoping that in the battle episode that they were going to do something, because neither one, I mean, Tyrion fought in the Blackwater.
Yeah.
But I mean, Sansa never really did. I was kind of hoping she would, like, Arya said, stick them with the pointy end. Like, I was really hoping that they would actually, like, do something, but they didn't.
Yeah.
But
so, Game of Thrones was basically a disappointment. The ending. It didn't ruin the whole show, though.
No, I can still go back and watch the whole show and appreciate it. Even
and who
though,
knows? We may watch the last season again and think this wasn't so bad.
Yeah, the first episode, if I remember correctly, was kind of boring.
Yeah.
Now the second, because the third episode was the battle, right?
Mm-hmm.
The second episode was really good. That was one of my favorite moments when Brienne got knighted.
Yes.
Brienne was one of my favorite characters.
Yeah.
Jamie was right up until the end, and then screw you, Jamie.
Yeah.
Really, to the writers a little bit worse than him. But as far as that storyline goes, but
we've been listening to
good.
A Song of Ice and Fire on
Yeah.
audio book, and so I've just gotten to the part where Pod gets up with Brienne.
Oh yeah.
And so, of course, all the time he's like, "Sir, my lady," or "My lady, sir," because he never knows what to call her. But yeah, Pod's the bomb.
I'm glad Pod survived.
Yes.
So anyway, I like parts of it, but overall, some of the characters just, I mean, the way they ended up was just kind of like, yeah.
Yeah. Just disappointing. Not overall a showbuster.
No.
I guess we'll save the big showbusters or the big busters for the end of the discussion.
I have one I'm really pissed about, but it just happened not long ago, so
she's real fired up about it.
I'm still really mad about it. It might fade over time, but right now I'm still mad about it. But one thing, I guess, another show I have that had a disappointing, I mean, to me, it wasn't super disappointing. It was a little bit strange, I guess, was Lost.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people didn't like the ending of Lost. But I liked it okay. I mean, I wasn't like super bummed.
Yeah.
And because it was intriguing at first, but then when you kind of found out what was really happening,
Yeah.
it was just weird. I don't know.
Also, I guess spoiler alert for everything ever.
Yeah, I'll put a giant spoiler alert at the beginning of the video.
Okay.
But so, did you ever watch the
No.
final season of Lost?
I only watched like the second season of Lost.
Well, the final season, it was like running parallel, like two things. So it was like what's happening, currently, what's going on with the characters on the island, whatever. And then like this other reality where everybody's like
fine,
normal.
Yeah.
And then everybody starts slowly remembering things, like who they are and what happened to them. So you're like, what's going on? And do you want me to tell you what happened? Since you ain't seen it.
I mean, I know what happened at the end where they all showed up in the church and realized that they'd been dead the whole time.
Yeah, so that was basically what it was, is that the whole parallel thing was like them all in limbo waiting for everybody else to die. And then once they all died, they all met back up in the church to, I guess, move on together. So, I mean, it was fine. It was just kind of a little bit weird. I mean, that whole show had weird stuff in it, but I guess it could have been a little better for the show, like overall that show had ups and downs all together. But I don't know. It definitely didn't ruin the show for me at all.
Yeah.
But it was just kind of a slightly disappointing ending.
Yeah, so I guess for me, I'm gonna kind of, so one show that I was disappointed in the way that it ended was Parks and Rec. Not the content necessarily, but the structure of the last season and the way that NBC did the show. Because if you watched it live, they only got a 13 episode final season, first of all. And then they ran 2 episodes a week.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like, here's your hat, what's your hurry? Don't let the door hit you in the butt on the way out, just leave.
Mm-hmm.
Which I thought was like, this is one of your, in my opinion, hallmark shows that you built, you know, Thursday nights around, and then you're just kind of like, okay, bye, get out. And then the fact that they didn't have a lot of the main people in it all the time. I wasn't disappointed necessarily I wasn't disappointed really at all in the way that it ended, and I felt like the last season did justice to that. But mostly I was disappointed in, first of all, the whole Leslie and Ron thing was ridiculous a little bit. But then mostly just the way that it felt so rushed by the way they did the show, and then not having all the main people on there, which is understandable when they've got other projects, but still. So, but mostly just the way that NBC was just like, okay, get out.
Yeah.
And so obviously that didn't ruin the whole show for me. It was just frustrating as, you know, being a fan of the show for it to seem like, okay, we don't care about you anymore, go away.
Yeah, I hate when final seasons seem rushed. Especially when, or you know, whether it's by the writers or the networks or whatever, that it's not given, especially shows that have been on for a while, aren't given a proper ending.
Yeah.
And it's kind of, like you were saying, it's like, okay, just get out.
Yeah.
Wrap it up. And really, I'll say New Girl's final season was a little bit like that.
Mm-hmm.
It was shortened, and it had some good episodes and stuff, and I mean, I like the way it ended up.
Mm-hmm.
But it just seemed like a weird, disconnected season from the rest. And I know it like flashed forward, but it didn't necessarily feel like the same show.
No.
And it kind of had a weird, somewhat rushed feeling to the ending.
Yeah, and it's weird because if you watch New Girl from the beginning and you really pay attention, the last season, I mean, first of all, Winston progressively gets dumber.
Winnie the Bish.
Let's just be real here. But he gets more out there all the time. And don't get me wrong, I still love Winston, and he's still, all the characters on New Girl are great. Winston is great. But the last season, it seemed like they had everybody, in a way, like you said, kind of not acting like they normally act. Because in the beginning of the show, I mean, Winston's always had his quirks, right? Pranks, puzzles. But like later on in the show, it's like they just made him such a different character, slowly but surely.
Yeah, Nick was also one who was significantly different. Like I felt like he still had some of the same Nick quirks too.
Nick Miller.
But Jess too, I don't know, it seemed weird to me that, you know, after all the time how much she really wanted to be a teacher and be an administrator.
Yeah.
But she just kind of like quit everything and then went and traveled, you know. I mean, that's fine. But then it's like she came back and was, I don't know, doing like weird little, trying to work at Russell's place. And like, what happened to the Jess that was like, really, I don't know. So, I don't know, it just felt kind of weird.
Yeah.
But definitely didn't ruin the show. It's one of my favorite shows, and I watch it all the time. I was actually watching it yesterday.
Yeah, I'm in a rewatch right now of that show as well, so I started over from the beginning. Also, Netflix, if you're watching this show, you need a button we can press to where we're like, I'm going to rewatch this, and it just blanks them all out, because sometimes it don't act right when you're trying to watch it on the iPad.
Yeah. Now, I will say, they did a cool thing I didn't realize till yesterday on Netflix, is where, you know, when it pops up and says, are you still watching? That you can say yes and don't ask me again.
Oh.
Because usually if you watch so many episodes or so many hours in a row, if you're not paying attention, it'll just cut off.
Yeah.
But now you can say, don't, and it'll keep playing
Yes.
until it runs out.
I'm a couch potato.
Yes, Netflix, I am still here.
Right?
7 hours later.
Yeah.
The TV does that too.
Yeah.
I was watching like HGTV or something the other day when I was cleaning or whatever, and it kept popping up and saying, "Are you still there?" I'm
Yeah. If you don't do anything for a while,
Yes.
it'll get you. But
I'm just watching HGTV,
yeah.
getting ideas for things that I can't do to my house.
Right.
And for my house, I don't have.
Well, another show, I just rewatched this, that it wasn't necessarily, again, the way it ended. It's just like, why did they do this at the end of the show, is The Office.
Yeah.
I don't understand why, at the end of the show, they decided to throw a monkey wrench in Jam.
Yeah, like making Jim seem like a big jerk.
Yeah. And I know I've read articles about how people think Jim was a jerk the whole time. I don't subscribe necessarily to that theory because people see things differently than I do, and a lot of people think he manipulated Pam and stuff like that. I don't really think that's the case most of the time, and having watched the show 3 or 4 times at this point, feel pretty good about my assumptions. Because I guess I'm also of the mindset that even though you can be persuaded to do things you might not ordinarily do, if you really didn't want to do them, you wouldn't do them.
Yeah.
But people get mad about how like he bought that house without asking Pam and stuff like that, and I think, I mean, it was a surprise, and I get that it's a major life decision.
Yeah.
But still, anyway. But making them seem like they might break up and then doing this little pseudo love story with her and the cameraman, I just thought, I mean, I just don't know why they can't just have happy couples on TV.
I have another one, but it's related to a show I ain't talked about yet.
Well, that was pretty much
it.
it. It didn't ruin the show for me. I know it's coming whenever I rewatch it, because obviously didn't ruin the show for me because I keep rewatching it.
Yeah.
But it was still it's just frustrating that they would do that. I mean, even Michael leaving, obviously Steve Carell wanted to move on to other things. That didn't even bother me, and really they did a great job with his exit.
Yeah.
And the show continued to be very good, I thought, but still, why you gotta mess with Jam? Don't mess with Jam.
No. Okay. So another show that I thought didn't have a very good ending was True Blood.
Yes.
Really, True Blood had some not so great seasons.
Middles.
But I didn't like the ending of True Blood.
No.
Now, if you've read those books, a lot of people didn't like the endings of the books either. The books did not end. They didn't end like the show.
Right.
But about the show, though, I thought... Now, I never liked Bill. And maybe this was probably rollover from the books.
Yeah.
Because I didn't like Bill in the books either.
No.
So, I never really liked Bill in the show, I guess. I mean, he was fine, whatever. He wasn't, like, as bad as Angel, but, like... Just kidding. But I still thought them having her kill Bill like that was, like, terrible.
Yeah.
I didn't like that. Now, and I say, on the show, I wanted her to end up with Alcide. Kind of. I mean, I didn't really... But since they went the same route as the books, where she wanted to live like a normal life, kind of, and be with somebody that she could have kids with and have whatever, that I thought Alcide on the show was probably the best candidate.
Yeah.
Not in the books. I did like the ending of the books, unlike most people. I got what I wanted. But on the show, it was not quite, I don't know, it wasn't quite the same.
No.
But even still, I just thought, and she ended up with like a rando.
Yeah.
Like, you didn't even see who it was.
I mean, we are big ship people, first and foremost. So, you know, we're totally 18th century backwoods. We care about relationships, right?
I just read It by Stephen King, and I have a ship. Okay. So.
Ships. We love ships. But yeah, so first of all, yeah, I know this is not really bad endings. This is bad middles, but on True Blood, I'm gonna talk about bad middles for a minute. The Vampire Authority season was crap.
Yes, it was. That was terrible.
That was so stupid. And in the books, the whole fairy storyline got on everybody's nerves. And by everybody, I mean me and Mallory. I can't speak for the whole universe, but neither one of us liked it.
I hated the fairies.
And then it's like they just randomly put the fairies in the show to where that was like crazy, didn't even make any sense, and had what's his face in there for 5 seconds, and she's all in love with him. But yeah, so I didn't appreciate that she ended up with a rando on the show.
No.
I didn't appreciate that she didn't end up with Eric in the books or on the show for that matter. I'm totally team Eric. It was fine that she ended up with Sam. It was not fine that she ended up with Joe Schmo.
Yeah, see, when I read the books, like I liked Sam from the beginning, and then I liked Eric. I never liked Bill. Probably because he reminded me of Angel. But I didn't, and then I really wanted her to be with Eric up to a certain point. You know who else I hated who wasn't even on the show?
Quinn.
Listen. And this is when he was trying to sink her and Eric's ship.
Yes.
But I could not stand him. I don't know why. Like, I reread the books, it's not been recently, but after that. Mm-hmm. And he didn't seem as bad the second time. But the first time, I was like, who is this guy? Get rid of him. I hate him. It's like Mr. Clean.
She really hated him.
So, anyway, he wasn't on the show, I don't think.
No.
At all. He showed up in Midnight Texas books.
Yeah, but not on the show.
No. But anyway, then towards the end, I really wanted her to be with Sam in the books, which I wouldn't have minded if she ended up with Sam on the show, but the way that, of course, I was kind of mad when they put Sam, because I still kind of thought, they might end up together, really. But then the way that the stories went, it would have been a little bit weird, I think, on the show.
Yeah.
Weirder than in the books. Because even in the books, I mean, he wasn't around as much.
Mm-hmm.
But it always seemed like they had a thing. And on the show, it made it seem more like he was into her, but she wasn't into him.
Yeah. More
so, I felt like, than the books did. But anyway, so I wouldn't have minded that, obviously, on the show. But on the show, I really more would have liked her with Alcide if it was going to be something like that. I mean, I wouldn't have minded super if she ended up with Eric either, but...
Yeah.
So, the fact that she ended up with somebody random, and then that they had her, like, kill Bill like that, and the way the vampires die, like, all...
Yeah.
It's not even like, it's not, like, simple like Buffy.
No. Oh, and lest we forget Billith.
Remember when that guy was dressed like Billith that Dragon?
Yes.
That was amazing.
It was amazing, but also, at first, we were like, what the heck? And then I realized, he's Billith.
Billith. It's funnier to talk about than it was to watch.
Yes. Billith was ridiculous.
Never a fan. Never a Bill fan.
No.
Never a Bill fan. But yeah, so that one, I mean, it didn't ruin the whole show. That's not one of my favorite shows or anything.
No.
I mostly watched it because I really liked the books. Those are some of my favorite books, but yeah, it was.
The books and the show are very different, so we kind of take them independently.
Yeah, after the first season of True Blood, it was the closest to the books.
Yeah.
After that, it kind of did its own thing. Because really, the books only follow Sookie. Mm-hmm. And the show obviously follows everybody. So they make up all this extra weirdness. And then they do things sometimes that are in the books, but not quite in the
same
order.
way. Yeah.
And a little bit different. So if you're interested in the books, but now that we've told you who Sookie ends up with and how they end.
It's okay. You can still read them.
They're still good.
Yeah.
The fairy part sucks.
Yes.
But otherwise.
Yeah. And speaking of books, now, I don't know about this. I don't know if I should save this for later or not. Let me just run through 2 movies real quick that have bad endings, in my opinion. In Good Company.
Yeah.
Another thing, ship-related.
Mm-hmm.
Because what kind of a movie did the main people not end up together?
Yeah. That's like... When that happens, which I have a movie that's sort of kind of like that, but when that happens, it makes me so, like, I'm like, this is supposed to be, I guess because I like rom-coms,
Yeah.
that when it doesn't end well, I'm like, what the heck?
Yeah. I mean, I'm not here to live out my own life here.
No. Like, this is supposed to be fantasy, that's why I'm
Yeah.
watching it.
And another one was Friday Night Lights. What kind of a sports movie does the team lose at the end?
I know, that's so disappointing.
That was crazy. I mean,
did
I
not
guess
like that
plot
movie.
twist because who
Yeah.
saw that coming?
Because you think they're going to win.
But all of these kids have these terrible lives, especially poor Garrett Hedlund, who has a terrible life in every movie. I don't know if he... Every movie I see Garrett Hedlund in, he has a terrible life or dies. But yeah, I mean, he's probably got a million more movies where he's happy and normal, but and lives.
Couldn't prove it by me.
Can't prove it by me. The 3 I've seen him in, his life sucked or he died. So anyway, then they don't even win the championship. And
Yeah,
I
that
mean,
was
I know
a
that's
bummer.
real life, but that sucked.
Yeah. No.
No,
I didn't like that movie at all.
that movie was a real bummer.
It gave me a headache too. I didn't like the way that they filmed it. Like that like the whole thing was like close camera.
Yeah.
It made me nauseous because we might have been sitting too close to the screen. I
think
can't
we
sit
were.
close to a screen at the movies.
So,
But
yeah,
anyway, that was terrible.
short and sweet on those two.
But here's a movie I didn't like the ending, and that was Something Borrowed.
No.
I didn't like the ending of that because the whole thing, which I know it's based on books, and I know there's another book, and I know what it's about, and I'm just kind of like not interested in it, even though I have it. So maybe one day I'll read it. But it was so, in that one, obviously she liked the guy, and then her friend, she wouldn't ask him out, so her friend asked him out, which okay. So that was not cool. Like, you should read the room and know my friend obviously likes this guy. I'm not gonna, why would you ask him out? But then they were dating for a long time, and then she started having, like Jennifer Goodwin's character started having an affair with him, basically behind her friend's back.
Also not cool.
And then also Jim was there.
Yeah.
Like,
Whatever, just play along.
and he was like such this nice guy, and he was obviously in love with her, with Jennifer Goodwin's character.
Yeah.
And then, but at the end, she basically lost her friend and ended up with the first guy. And then her and her friend, which was Kate Hudson, I think, kind of acted like maybe they would be okay, but they weren't really friends anymore. And then Jim, she didn't get with Jim, who was far superior, because the other guy also was kind of an a-hole. I mean, he was fine sometimes.
I think he was rich, so...
He was rich, so strike against that. But, like, I don't know, so I didn't like the ending of that. I thought, and then the second book, I've heard that it's about Jim and the friend who get
Kate
together.
Hudson.
Yeah, which I thought, no. But also, so anyway, all the characters except for Jim were not really great in that movie, and I didn't like them, and I didn't like that movie. So anyway, there you go. I'm not going to watch it again, so I guess it did ruin it for me, because I'll never watch it again.
I think I have that movie. I guess I wasn't as upset about it as you were, although I did really think Colin Egglesfield was super hot, so
Now, he was.
maybe I was just really shallow about it, for being fair. Maybe if I watched it again, I'd probably be like, this is trash!
Yeah.
Snow White should end up with Jim, what the hell?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, as far as In Good Company, I'm never watching that again, and I might watch Friday Night Lights again, but I'm definitely not watching In Good Company again, because that movie, no.
And I'm sure there's tons of other movies out there that
Yeah.
have bad endings. But
I mean, there's been a couple movies where when the movie ended, we didn't know what the hell happened, but I don't know if that counts or not.
I'll tell you what, though. You know that movie, Punch Drunk Love? We've talked about this a ton of times. I hate that movie. It is so stupid. I didn't even watch the whole thing. That is the only movie I think I have never finished because I just didn't like it. I couldn't finish it. I couldn't finish watching it.
What if it had a grade A ending?
It might have, but I hated that movie. And I mean, I watched it a long time ago, so I can't say maybe I like it now.
Yeah.
But that's not really the ending, because I didn't watch the ending,
No.
because it was terrible. But that's the only really movie I've thought of so far.
Yeah.
But
Well, another book series that had a terrible ending, so again, spoiler alert, was the Divergent series.
oh my God.
I'm assume, do you have any left that are not like super crazy?
I have a few that I was just gonna casually mention
Okay.
that I didn't really watch, but I heard were bad endings.
Okay, well then we're gonna cover Divergent real quick and then we'll go to them. It ain't gonna be real quick. Freaking A, dude. First of all, who kills the main character?
Yeah. In a like series like this.
Yes.
I mean, this is a teen, a series for teens.
Right.
It's one of the apocalyptic, futuristic stories.
Yeah.
And I will say this is one that ruined it for me.
Yeah.
I will never read those books again, probably.
Right.
I have watched the movies, but I'm not going to watch them again.
Yeah. Well, the movies were a whole different ball game. In the second one, they were in space, and I haven't watched the ones after that. Are there two after that, or there's just one? There's supposed to be two.
Because they were going to make the second one. Because, see, the second one they made in part one, and then they decided not to make part two because it didn't do well. Because by this point, probably all the books were out, and everybody was like, no.
Yeah.
I mean, the movies were not good. Really. I don't know why I watched all three of them, but I did. But they were just not good.
To be fair, I believe, when they cast Shailene Woodley as Triss, we thought that was a terrible decision.
Yeah.
But, to be fair, our only experience with Shailene Woodley was that Secret Life of the American Teenager. So, all we saw was petulant teenager.
Yeah.
And that's how Triss kind of was.
Who looked nothing like Triss.
No.
I hate when they do that.
But, having now seen her on Big Little Lies, I realize that Shailene Woodley is not wholeheartedly to blame.
No.
Because given good direction, Shailene Woodley does a great job.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, she looked nothing like Triss. But I feel like they just didn't tell her, hey, Triss is not like a whiny teenager like you were in Secret Life of the American Teenager.
Yeah.
She's really a badass and,
Yeah, like I loved her character in the book.
Yeah.
And 4, and I will say, I didn't mind 4 in the movies.
No. 4 was jam up.
I also thought, and I guess because I think Miles Teller's pretty funny.
Yeah.
Like, I think he did a pretty good job at being Peter.
Yeah.
Because Peter was supposed to be a jackwagon, of course.
Right.
But overall, I just didn't really care for the movies. But
no, they were not good.
back to the book ending.
Yeah.
The first 2 books were really good.
Yes.
The third one was not, for multiple reasons. One is that it was from 4 and Triss's point of view, which we later found out why.
Yeah. Because they killed the main character.
And it was so dumb.
Yeah.
The way she died. But it was so confusing. Sometimes it was hard to tell whose point of view it was. Because they weren't different enough.
Yeah.
And it may have said at the beginning of the chapter, but I find myself like forgetting and getting really confused on who we were following.
Yeah.
Because it was from first person perspective.
Yeah.
It would have been different if it was following them from third person, so that way
you
knew who it was.
Yeah.
But it was really confusing, first of all. And then, like you said,
they killed the main character
at the end.
Yes.
In a really stupid way.
Yeah. I just don't understand. I don't know. I mean, you read that, and look, you don't kill Harry Potter. How you gonna kill Harry Potter? Look, Katniss ended up sort of being a disappointment when she voted to reinstate the Hunger Games, but they didn't kill her.
Yeah.
So that series is not ruined, though the ending was somewhat disappointing just from that one perspective.
Yeah.
But
yeah, it was like when I got done reading that, I thought, are you serious right now?
yeah.
Everyone is going to hate this. And I remember seeing where she was kind of talking about it and saying, well, that's just what I wanted to do.
No.
And I'm like, so from the beginning you planned to kill this character, make everybody really root for her.
Yeah.
And she's going to save, and then, because she just died like she saw her dead mom or something, and she was like, you don't have to fight anymore.
Yeah. I can't even remember. I blocked it out. so traumatic.
Yeah, I remember reading, like, seeing these little things afterwards. That was like I had to reread Mockingjay so I could feel better after
Right.
reading Allegiant.
Well, you know, actually,
Mockingjay was hella sad.
I saw a meme on Pinterest about Allegiant, so I knew Triss died before she even did.
Oh yeah, it was so because I read that book before you did, and it was so hard not to be like, this book sucks.
Just quit while you're ahead.
Yeah, just don't even read it. So yeah, that definitely ruined it for me because I probably will
Agreed.
never read those books again.
Yeah, I probably won't.
Because
Either.
now knowing how it ends, it's just like, who cares?
We'll just read 1 and 2 and then make up our own ending.
Yeah.
Plus, the whole thing about being in that one place,
Yeah.
you know, that's kind of like, this is kind of, okay, switching gears, we're going to a different show. Dollhouse. Okay, so Dollhouse got canceled, so to be fair, who knows what would have happened.
Yeah.
But they made these extra episodes to be like, this is how it would have ended. Except for, how did we get there?
Mm-hmm.
To this crazy futuristic wasteland that's like Mad Max, I assume that from the trailers I've seen of the movie.
Yeah.
That was a weird ending. Weird ending. And then what's his face being dead? And then Echo's head the whole time. That was bizarre. I mean, I know they didn't have the time. So that's, you know, to be fair, okay. But still, that was really weird.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how Allegiant was compared to the other 2 books.
Yeah. It was just not good.
Nope.
Not good at all.
No.
Well, the 2 I wanted to talk about, I just wanted to mention, and these are ones I know how I've heard how it ends, and people hated it, was Dexter and The Sopranos. So these are 2 I watched some, I've seen Dexter before, I've never seen The Sopranos. But these were on like every list that I looked at all about terrible endings.
Yeah.
Cause like The Sopranos was kind of like very open-ended.
Yeah, but it's only open-ended if you let it be, in my opinion, from what I remember. So, I did watch The Sopranos. First of all, I didn't get to watch The Sopranos. Obviously, if you ever watched The Sopranos, you know why I didn't get to watch The Sopranos, because it's not for children. But my parents were like, you cannot watch The Sopranos. So then eventually they said, okay, you're old enough, you can watch The Sopranos. So then I was super psyched, right? Because obviously. So, yeah, the ending, they were all in this restaurant. That was kind of weird. And they played a song on the ending, is Don't Stop Believing. But, and then, like, the camera just went out. So you really don't know what happened. And I know a lot of people were really upset about it, but I'm like, I mean, maybe that's just all that happened.
Yeah.
I mean, I think there was a noise or something, but still, like, who cares? I mean, what if he died? What if he didn't? I mean, you don't know. It's Schrodinger's cat.
Yeah.
I didn't have that big of a problem with it. I haven't finished watching Dexter. I think he died in the ending. Or,
Well,
okay, what happened in the ending? His sister killed him,
let me
right?
tell you. From what I heard is he basically went off and kind of became a lumberjack. or
What?
something.
I thought his sister killed him.
I don't think so.
Okay, well,
I think it was something
probably
very
really
dumb,
weird.
like very not Dexter.
that would be really dumb. If that's what happens, that is dumb.
But it was on a lot of lists. I don't know if you have finished watching it.
No.
I never watched it, but I read about it
Yeah.
on the book.
You know what was another show that I just thought of because I got to the season of Dexter that had H.G. Wells is Warehouse 13. That's another show that had a super rushed ending, and it was like, oh, we have to put Pete and Micah together before the show ends, so
Yeah, it's
here
like
you go.
they didn't have much of a romantic connection. I mean, it was something like you could ship it, like Benson and Stabler kind of. But they didn't really have much build up until like the final season, and all of a sudden they were like, "Oh, you're definitely in love with her, right?"
Yeah.
And then I always felt like she had more of a connection with HG than I did.
Well, see, HG was on Dexter, and that's where I got to. He was kind of with her.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Anyway. Yeah, but Warehouse 13 was kind of a rushed, not a great ending.
It didn't have the best ending.
No.
And I know they got canceled and they kind of had to end it, but I feel like they knew they were
they knew.
canceled, but I don't know.
Yeah, benefit of the doubt if you don't know you're
do.
getting canceled, but...
If you really are kind of surprised or you don't really know.
Yeah, then that's not fair. But if you do know you're getting canceled, and admittedly, maybe there's more storylines you have in your head, and then you just have to be like, and...
We have to do the best ones.
Right.
Done.
Then, I know that will be hard, but...
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway. So, then, one other one that I wanted to talk about was Firefly Serenity. Now, what the hell? Joss Whedon!
I'm a leaf on the wind.
Yeah. How you gonna kill Wash at the end?
I got it right here.
Literally.
Too soon.
Anyway, yeah, too soon. Doesn't matter that it happened 25 years ago. Just kidding. But no, that kind of sucked. It didn't ruin the whole thing for me. It's really, Serenity I didn't think was that great. It was fine.
Yeah, I'm glad they got to do something.
Yeah.
But I was kind of bummed because I feel like Mal and what's-her-face never got together, did
No.
they? They never got together, which was a bummer. Obviously, they killed Wash, which was a bummer.
Yeah.
Because him and Zoe were like,
Yeah.
I mean, I also shipped...
Goals.
I shipped a lot of the ships on that show.
Yeah.
Kaylee and
Simon. The real villain is Fox.
Yeah. Let's be real.
Dollhouse and Firefly.
Mm-hmm.
Among other things.
Yep.
Fastlane.
So you're a bunch of shows that Fox has canceled too soon.
Yeah. Everything they ever had.
Mm-hmm. Fox is a bad ending.
Yeah, Fox. Be better. Okay. So now I think the only one I have left on my list is more your thing than my thing. So I'm going to let you handle it. So now we can go off into the one I have on my list that's your thing. I'll just mention this and then you can get to the crazy thing. How I Met Your Mother.
Okay.
Of course, How I Met Your Mother, nobody liked that ending. Or did they? Nobody did.
If you did, you're wrong.
Correct.
Get out of here. Just stop watching the video. I don't need you in my life.
But still like and subscribe because we might do other things you like.
Right. I was just kidding. Come on. Yes. How I Met Your Mother is one of the worst TV show endings in the history of time. I felt like the whole final season was pointless. It was weird because it all was supposed to take place over like one weekend.
Yeah.
Which was fine, except for then like the whole thing was about Barney and Robin's wedding.
Yeah.
That then, in the now, I'm pretty sure they knew the show was ending.
Yeah.
And it was like they spent this whole final season on this one weekend. He met the mother, and in the final episode, in like 22 minutes, they undid everything. Everything.
Yeah.
Barney and Robin got divorced. The mother died. Then suddenly Ted realized that it had been Robin all along. And I thought, after everything you've done, why? If you knew this was how you wanted it to end, why did you even do that?
Yeah.
Why did you even have Barney, like this whole thing be about their wedding and about how Barney's changed and about how, Ted's finally let go of Robin.
Yeah.
And found his wife and all this stuff just to then in the last episode be like, nope, all this stuff doesn't even matter at all.
Yeah. 20-something freaking episodes. I didn't watch the whole show. I started watching it and I've seen episodes, but I watched the whole final season. 20-something freaking episodes about this one weekend leading up to this wedding, which is brilliant. Everything we ever wanted because Barney was a changed man.
Mm-hmm.
He and Robin should have ended up together. Who cares about Ted and Robin?
Nobody.
Nobody.
They are way over seasons ago.
Yes.
Way a long time ago.
It's
No.
bollocks.
The whole thing was stupid. The fact that the mother, didn't even get to stick around that
No.
she was in the final season some, but they never really even got together. Like, I know the whole show is how I met her, but like, why wouldn't you, like, in my mind, and how it will always be, is when he met her on the thing, and that's how it ended.
Yeah.
He met her, the end. The whole last episode doesn't even exist.
Yeah.
Although I will say it kind of ruined the show for me because I don't want to watch it anymore. If I ever see it on, I usually won't just like watch reruns of it like I will other shows, like
Yeah.
other comedies. I mean, some of them I won't say I'd never watch it again, but it's kind of soured it.
Yeah.
I'm still pissed about it.
I might go back and watch the other seasons that I didn't necessarily see, but I'm never watching the final season again. I mean, I wasn't as invested as Mal was, but still, total nightmare.
Yeah, that was possibly the worst ending of a TV show I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
I hate it. Hate it so much, and I always will, and I'll never get over it.
Never,
That was
ever.
a long time ago, and I'm still just as mad about it now as I was then.
Yeah.
After everything they went through.
Yeah.
If you watch this channel long enough, you've probably heard me talk about this before, and I will continue talking about it for the rest of my life.
She probably will. And here we'll be for it. At least there's wine.
That's why we have this.
Yeah. Because see, like, we seem really angry, but really we're cool. We're pretty happy right now.
The wine is doing its thing.
The wine is working.
While
Whatever
I'm
it
yelling
said
about
about
it.
happiness has been uncorked and we are smiling, even though we seem really angry.
Even though we're mad.
Yeah.
So, do you have any more? I have one more.
I know.
The final one on my list is the one I'm most recently pissed about. And that is the 100. Because it just ended a couple of weeks ago from when we filmed this video. Now, here is obviously my problem with the final season of the one. Okay, I got multiple problems with the final season.
Okay.
One problem is it didn't make sense. Like the last two seasons were not like the first. Like the first several seasons, they were on Earth, they did all this stuff. Even when it got more into the AI stuff, it was still kind of sort of the same. But when they went to space and then went to this new planet, it was kind of like a new show. But even the first season when they were on the new planet in Sanctum, it was okay. It's still kind of, the characters were still acting kind of like themselves. But in this final season, and they knew they were coming because they knew that they were going to do 100 episodes. So they knew this was it. And they had like 16 episodes, I think. And it was, the whole season just was terrible. Like overall, it had a couple good moments. It was just bad. It didn't make any sense. The way it ended, which I've told you, she don't watch it, but I've told her all about the show anyway.
I know everything that ever happened.
Is that to be like, this weird alien being is the one controlling everything and is gonna let people ascend, like, is totally random. Has nothing to do with anything that's ever happened ever on this show. Like, as far as I know, there's never been like magic. There's never been,
No.
it's been like technology.
Yeah.
Like the AI stuff. But it's never been like, this something weird and alien and magical is going on. And all of a sudden it is. And like the whole story with Russell Prime, who was Shin Hada or whatever his name was really stupid. I don't know why Indra didn't kill him 8 years ago. Like why they had to drag it out. It was terrible. The whole thing with them jumping to these worlds was just like they focused on, and I mean, it's fine to focus on other characters. And I know that, Bob Morley asked for some time off, which is fine, but like even Eliza Taylor wasn't in it as much. And Clark and Bellamy were like the main characters, literally the head and the heart of this show.
Yeah.
As said by the characters themselves multiple times. And like, for them not to be there, even if, if the actors, whatever, you have to do what you gotta do. But when they were, it's like nobody was acting like every character almost was not acting like themselves.
Yeah.
Like the whole rest of the show, the fact that they spent all this time, Clark and Bellamy have had issues. So here's my biggest issue, obviously, leading up to. Clark and Bellamy have had their issues since day one. But they always make up somehow. And in the previous season, they had spent all this time, saying, I'm so sorry for all the things that I've done. I'm so sorry for leaving you to die in the fighting pits. I'm so sorry for, turning my back on you and siding up with Pike or whatever. All this stuff's happening. A bunch of craziness. And to have all that happen and them say, I'll never do anything like that. Like,
yeah.
It's always going to be us. We're going to do better. And then to come into the final season, when you have limited Bellamy, and they said, oh, well, we had a different plan, but when he wasn't going to be there, we had to change it. I'm like, so, because you only have this actor for a handful of episodes, so suddenly the best thing you can think of is to use one of those episodes for him to be off with some random nobody that nobody knows, climbing a mountain the whole time, and then suddenly at the end he believes in all this higher power and all this craziness, even though the whole entire freaking show has been about fighting for your people. But suddenly he has one vision of his mama, and it's like, oh, well, now this is my whole new religion. I've seen the light. And then to come back and say, now I'm against all my friends, and for all them to just be like, well, we lost Bellamy, like, there's nothing we can do.
Even though 11 other things have happened in the past, people are always playing each other against the middle, acting like they're on this team when they're really on this team. Also, let it be known that Mallory is a straight-up Bellark shipper.
You right. That's part of the issue here.
Yeah, big issue.
But to have, and so, me thinking, wishful thinking, maybe we'll get a Bellark moment. I honestly kind of thought people were going to die. And that they might not both make it to the end of the show. And that it's not like they live happily ever after. But
nope.
all this build-up, and don't you even try to tell me for 1 second, Jason, that there was no romantic connection between Clark and Bellamy, because that is a bunch of crap, okay? I could, watch almost every episode and point out a moment here for you, sir. But the fact that, it's not even the fact they didn't end up together. That's not why I'm so mad. And I'm not even mad because, okay, so here's why I'm mad. Because Clark killed Bellamy. I'm not even mad that she killed him, necessarily. It's not the fact that she killed him. It's why. It's that after he was like, oh, I'm going to be part of this cult all of a sudden. That makes no sense. And that she's going to say, well, there's nothing we can do, even though he literally spent almost a lot of the last season trying to save her.
Yeah.
That she's all of a sudden going to be like, there's just nothing we can do. And he's like, I'm going to hand over the sketchbook. And she's like, don't hand over the sketchbook. And he's like, I got to do it. And she's like, well, there's no other options. Got to kill you. And then kills him. Then leaves without the damn sketchbook. Just leaves it behind, and then he's dead, and she goes on and tells everybody, well, I had to kill Bellamy. I did everything I could. Excuse me.
Literally did nothing.
You did nothing.
And left the sketchbook.
You just killed him for no reason at all. No reason. And then everybody was like, oh, it's fine. We understand.
I just really hope that people we know watch this show so that they can see Mallory freaking out like a maniac. Because, just so you viewers at home know, I am the angry one. And she is the quiet, nice, people always wanting to be fighting with me and thinking that I'm all this one way or the other and loud. And she's so quiet and sweet and nice. And then here we are. Bellark got us all, got our switches all flipped.
I can't handle it. I can't handle it. It was terrible. And then they were like, well, there's nothing we could have done anyway. He was already gone. Like, they tried to do anything. They did nothing to try to get him to come back except talk to him one time.
Yeah.
Then at the end, they're like, oh, well, turns out he's right, and we're all going to transcend except for only the living can transcend. So he doesn't get to because he's dead.
Which is another bullcrap moment, because it's always a bullcrap moment when the main people don't return for the finale.
Yeah. And so I'm like, so you bring him back for like 3 episodes, have him have a terrible, pointless, stupid, worst TV death in the history of time.
Yeah.
And then you're going to come in here and say, well, now everybody's come back together and everybody gets to live happily ever after together at the end, except for not Bellamy.
Right. And look,
No.
I know that art don't always imitate life, but Eliza Taylor and Bob Morley literally got married in real life on the down low. You can't tell me that there wasn't some Bellark fireworks going on.
Don't tell me.
Yeah. I ain't even watched the show.
It was the worst. And like even the ending of the show, it's not that the ending of the show was that bad. I didn't like it because the whole final season sucked butt and it was terrible and it was weird and made no sense with the whole rest of the entire show at all. But it's not even that it was the way that they all ended up, whatever, coming back together at the end. But then the fact that Bellamy's the only one that doesn't get to be there, when him and Clark were the main, even if they didn't get together, they were the main characters of the show, and like he doesn't even get to be there.
Yeah.
Like you couldn't have written the show better. You have 3 episodes, so this is what you do with it.
Yeah.
Like it's a piece of crap, and I'm
is.
still mad about it. Obviously, I'm still mad about it. It wasn't that long ago, but I'm gonna be mad about it for a long time because they did that character dirty. I mean, it's not like some fans didn't ever really like Bellamy that much, but even if you didn't, like every character who is like a main character who's like the heart, freaking Gabriel, who's been around for 5 minutes, got this whole, he died, and they all said their little grounder words over him and gave him this big nice farewell, and Bellamy just gets shot and left behind in nothing. Like after being the main character for all these years, like I felt like the writers were just like, screw you to the character and the actor and the fans, and so screw you writers right back.
Yeah, see, I've heard actors before say, well, the writers don't owe anything to the fans. If you don't like it, you can quit watching the show. Okay, but you don't have that option if it's the final freaking season of the show.
And sorry to you, but if it wasn't for the fans, you wouldn't be making money at your job. You wouldn't have a job.
No, and like, if it's a bad show, we've quit watching shows before because, Grey's Anatomy. They killed McDreamy and we're like, forget it, we're out. We done been lied to too many times. So we just quit watching the show. We have that option and we have that right.
Yeah.
But you don't have that option or that right when it's the end.
Yeah, when you end something terribly, like I feel like it's such an FU to the fans sometimes when writers do certain things. Because I'm like, you don't have to cater to every fan. Obviously, you can't do that.
No.
But I feel like when they disrespect characters, and this could really be said for a lot of the shows we've talked about, like with Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Like I feel like that just some characters deserve, even if they're terrible characters, deserve better as far as like how they go out.
Right.
How they end up.
Epic lives deserve epic deaths.
Yeah. Whether it's, you're dead or you live and you get a happy ending or you get, you don't. It should be good.
Yeah, they've talked about that before. We watched Talking Dead for the most part after The Walking Dead, and that's one of their main tenets is that the death of the character should match the life of the character. And that doesn't always happen, but for the most part it does. Mm-hmm. It would be so stupid if Negan walked out in front of a car.
Yeah.
That would be so dumb when Negan has played such a pivotal role in the series, you know, so that's why it's dumb for Jaime Lannister to get killed by falling rocks, or why it's dumb for Bellamy to get killed over a sketchbook that Clark doesn't even pick up and leave with.
I'm like, if you wanted to have the emotional impact of Clark having to kill Bellamy, I mean, you should have had a really, really, really good reason for her to do it.
Yeah, it's got to be a Buffy Angelus Angel situation.
Yeah. Like, something's happening where you really need to stop this, or he's like, and the fact that he wasn't in the season much and they didn't have him is what makes it so hard to believe that everybody was just like, well, he's too far gone. Yeah. And he's really doing something evil. He wasn't even doing something that bad.
No.
And she acts like, and the fact that she didn't even take the stupid thing, like, that makes it 10 times worse. I'm like, if you had come up with a good arc here, or, you know, planted these seeds for why he was going to become this villain, even though he was not a villain at all, he was, I mean, turns out right about everything. I mean, it was just like, such disrespect.
Yeah.
Such disrespect. I'll never forgive you, and I'm not watching your stupid prequel if it comes out.
So there.
When they had the backyard pilot, it was actually pretty good, but...
But too bad now. I'm over it.
I don't want any part of anything that you're a part of, because it's going to be terrible.
Yeah.
Or you might screw over everybody, or...
Yeah.
Disrespect the character. I mean, characters who've been there from day one on anything, and then all of a sudden get screwed at the end, or go out terribly.
Yeah.
It always makes me mad.
And for more on that, watch our episode called Stupid TV Deaths. Or it could be Stupid Anything Deaths, but Stupid Deaths.
Yep, we're going to have another whine about it, or we whine about the worst deaths in everything.
Yes.
We may have some repeats from this.
Yeah. If you've seen this, be prepared for that. But there'll be other ones too.
Yeah. So anyway, that was all on my list, but...
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm super salty about the 100 still. But, yeah, I'm going to be honest, it sort of kind of ruined that show. I mean, that's not really a show that I've never rewatched it. And I probably never would have regardless, because it's not really a show that I feel like I don't know. Some shows I feel like are shows I rewatch, and that's not one of them. But I'll definitely, knowing how everything comes to an end, I just have no desire to watch it ever again.
No. I mean, I primarily rewatch sitcoms anyway. I have rewatched Game of Thrones except for the final season, but that's only because it wasn't out yet. But, you know, I probably will rewatch Game of Thrones, but yeah, a lot of shows. But when they do somebody dirty like that, no. Not getting a rewatch.
No.
So.
Yeah, sometimes I'm like, I don't know. I mean, it's like McDreamy's death, even though that wasn't the end of the show, but...
It was for us.
Which we can talk about that more in the deaths episode, but it's just things like that writers do that just...
It really just, like she said, it's an FU to the fans, and I'm not going to stay around if you're not going to respect me in the slightest.
Like, you don't have to give me everything I want.
No.
I don't expect that, because, you know, sometimes I want weird stuff to happen,
Yeah.
But, like, when I feel like you're disrespecting a character, like, where the character's arc has been, even if I don't like the character, I mean, I'm less likely to be as mad if it's a character I don't like, but even still,
We'll see.
even with Cersei, like, I thought she had a terrible ending.
Right. But, and then, you know, take Once Upon a Time, for instance. The last season, not great, okay? It wasn't great. But the writers did a good job with what they had to work with. Most of the main cast elected to leave, thinking they might come back later. The last season was good for what it was.
Yeah.
It was not good compared to the rest of the show, but it's not fair to compare them. It was two different shows.
Yeah, it was like a brand new show, basically.
But they still did people right. They brought everybody back that they needed to for the endings. Everybody came back like they should have. They didn't, even though it wasn't a great ending, it certainly doesn't ruin the show.
No.
I mean, again, it's two different shows in my mind.
Yeah, it really was. It really seemed like.
But the writers did what they could with what they had to work with, and they still gave us a good ending. They didn't scum us all the way around.
No.
They took, I mean, even with Colin O'Donoghue stayed, which we thought, well, how's that going to work when Emma's not there?
Hook with no Emma. They fixed
Alternate hook. They fixed it because they're writers.
Yeah, like that's what you do. Like, because I think they originally thought Jennifer Morrison was going to stay.
Right.
And then she decided not to. So they kind of had to make a quick decision, but they did it in a way that was still like, okay, good for the fans. So he can still be here, but there's a good reason.
Yeah.
So, I mean, when shows don't try to do that, I'm like, like I said, I think you do owe the fans something. You owe them a good story. And you owe them, like, good characters.
Yeah.
I mean, because if it wasn't for fans, like I said, you wouldn't even have a job. Like, that's who supports you.
Yeah.
Is people watching your stuff. So when you do stuff that just seems like straight up disrespectful, that...
Yeah, we're not going to watch your show anymore.
Makes me mad, and I'm never going to watch anything you do again, probably.
Yeah. So there. So, anyway.
Now I've complained, and I'm going to finish my wine because I need to be happy again.
Don't drink to feel better, drink to feel even better. It's the only thing I remember from that Reese Witherspoon movie. That I don't even remember what Reese Witherspoon
I got so mad my hair fell down.
Yep, it did.
My ballerina bun.
You look like what's her face? Ray.
That is worse.
From Star Wars.
Oh yeah.
Guess what hasn't happened? Star Wars Sundays.
Oh yeah, we were gonna start watching Star Wars, but because I've
like
only ever seen
years.
I've seen A New Hope. That's the only one I've seen, but I don't even remember it.
We've been gonna have Star Wars Sundays for like 2 years.
Yeah, we'll probably do some of our flick or flops for Star Wars.
Yeah.
Because I've never seen it except for that one, and you haven't seen all of them even. You've seen the older ones, but
I've seen, yeah. I haven't seen all the new ones like with Ray, and I've seen 1 through 6.
Yeah.
I haven't seen, I think there's 3 more, right? Maybe.
Yeah. Didn't they make one called
Or 4.
Solo?
That's an offshoot. That ain't in the
Has it come out yet?
Yeah. It had Amelia Clark in it.
Yeah, okay.
No, but there's,
I love you.
I know.
I know that.
We know that part.
I don't know a lot about Star Wars, but well, actually, I take that back. I probably know a lot about Star Wars for someone who's never really watched Star Wars.
True.
But
do or do not, there is no try. Anyway, that's a different day, and hopefully not a bad ending like these things.
yeah, I'm hopeful that they'll have a better ending.
We have a new hope that
Have a
there's
new hope.
a good ending with The Last Jedi and The Force Awakens and the other thing.
Yep.
And The
Also,
Mandalorian.
I was gonna say also we need to watch the Baby Yoda show.
Yeah. All these real geeks and stuff, they want to be like, his name is the child. Go home. It's Baby Yoda.
Baby Yoda all day and his chicky nuggies.
And Chicky Nuggies and Chalky Milk. We're all about Baby Yoda.
Yep. So come back to the channel. That's probably all for today.
Yes.
Yeah, come back will be our next one. May or may not be us whining about the terrible TV deaths.
Yeah.
Or not just TV deaths, I guess. Terrible deaths in general. And
But
all
we
fiction.
We don't
Fictional
always
deaths.
rant and rave. Sometimes we tell you great things we found out about from something,
Yeah.
or things we love, or we do all kinds of stuff. Sometimes we drink while we're doing that too, but that's just joyous.
We are not alcoholics.
Yeah. Bye guys, like and subscribe, tell your friends. See you later. This is not a terrible ending.
This is a terrible ending. Next time on the list. Our McWorld, this video.
Yes.
The ending just ruined the series.
It hasn't already been ruined. I think you guys are in it for the long haul. All right. It may be better, it may be worse, but it's always gonna be.
It's gonna be something.
It's gonna be.
It's like a box of chocolates.
I'm telling you, son. So tune in next time for who knows what, and we'll see you on the flip side.